What is up, everybody? New knife review time. Today we're going to be actually looking at this Benchmade right here. This is the Benchmade 15030 Axis Lock bone collector folder. And here's a box. I just thought it was pretty cool, so I decided to bring it out here. Got those really nice green accents on there. Michael Waddell's bone collector with the antler and the skull, made exclusively by Benchmade Knife Company. You know, this is your standard Benchmade box. Comes with the nice little Benchmade baggie. But onto the knife. Let's get some specs out of the way first. Blade length is 2.95 inches. Blade thickness is 0.115 inch. Handle thickness is 0.618 inches, which just makes it a pretty thick knife. Blade material is D2 tool steel. Hardness is 60 to 62 Rockwell. Weight is 3.4 ounces. The pocket clip is tip up, and also overall length is 7.08 inches and close length is 4.13 inches. But before I get on to my thoughts on the knife, one thing is that a lot of people consider this knife, the Bone Collector series, at least the Axis folders, to be basically an upgraded version of the Griptilians. And I actually have a mini Griptilian right here to compare it next to, and you can see they look very different, and that's for one good reason. This really isn't an upgraded Griptilian. If you look at the handle, it looks a lot like another model. The handles on the Bone Collector are actually based off the 525. For this one, 520 for the large one, or the Benchmade Presidio. The handles are very similar to that. The original knife has aluminum handles, but when they made the Bone Collector, they decided to make them in G10 instead. But it's that handle shape that this knife does take. You know, you can even see the lines that are reminiscent there of the lines on the Presidio itself. But besides the handle, the blade is pretty similar to that of the 555 HG. Besides it being flat ground and with a slightly different blade profile, but it still has that, you know, hole and the sort of modified Warncliffe style blade. But let's go into the knife right now. You can see it's about the same size as the Mini Griptilian, and I do think it is a nice little upgrade from the Mini Griptilian, but I don't think it's 100% as, you know, compatible as a lot of people consider it to be. But let's get on to the blade. 2.95 inches of D2 tool steel. Very solid performing steel. D2, I found Benchmade's D2 is quite impressive. Holds an edge for a long time. Very nice blade shape on this one too. One thing we will notice about Benchmade's coming out these days is the lack of a bevel. You can see here, you know, that bevel is like hairline thin. You can barely tell there's a bevel on the edge right there. You can see glinting a little bit there, but you know, it really does suffer from that problem of, you know, probably not going to be good at, you know, when it's resharpened. You can see here on the Mini Griptilian, the bevel is much, much bigger. Twice as, I mean, I don't even consider this a knife with a large bevel, but this one it's almost non-existent. And, you know, I noticed Benchmade is doing that more and more with their knives. That'll affect the resharpened ability. Out of the box, it was good, but I feel like with a nice bevel, it'd be a lot better too. The D2 tool steel has a very nice stonewash finish to it. It's very subtle, very, very subtle. You know, it looks almost like a satin finish. Trust me though, there's a slight stonewash to it. I can't really catch it in the light. But trust me, it's there. And it does give the knife a very subdued look, I guess, in the blade. But one thing I do not really like is that little Bone Collector logo on here. It seems overly emphasized, and it also seems like it'd be just a bad thing in terms of the sheeple. You know, they look on the blade of your knife and they see a skull. You know, what does that really, you know, forebode? Here's Benchmade up here. Got D2 and USA right there. Michael Waddell's Bone Collector. The grind is good. I mean, the flat grind is perfectly fine. It's just the bevel problems. I do like the blade shape quite a bit. It has this very unique hump to it. And the blade almost looks like it goes back up before it goes down. And I do like that little hump shape. I just think it's very attractive. Blade thickness is reasonable, you know, pretty standard. The opening hole actually does have a little bit of a problem to it. It is obviously based off of Spyderco's, etc. But the thing is that it's really kind of small compared to, you know, the vast majority of Spyderco's I've ever owned. It's very small, and that makes it kind of hard to get your whole thumb in to deploy. In addition, the spring on this axis lock seems to be tougher than, you know, maybe any other axis lock I've ever had, so that's kind of questionable to me. It also makes it a little bit harder to open the knife, you know, the small hole combined with the axis lock. The last thing is that when the knife is closed, you can tell that actually not the whole hole is exposed. A little bit is covered by the G10 handle. While it's a minor point, all these things just add up to the knife being a little hard to open, and that's the main quirk I have with this knife. I mean, it's flickable, but you really have to know that your your thumb's in the hole for you to be able to deploy it consistently and well. Let's go on to the handle. You got a 0.68 inch handle, 0.68 inch thick handle on this baby. Here it is in comparison with the Griptilian, which is already quite a beefy knife for its size in terms of thickness. But this thing is just thick. You got a thick G10 on top of the stainless steel liners, on top of a thick back spacer, on top of another steel liner, and the G10 out here. So it is very sort of a beefy in the pocket, and in the hand it is very comfortable, though. That's one of the more beneficial things that comes with, you know, these thicker handles. But it feels kind of awkward because I don't know, the handle just seems really thick. that's the only way I can put it. It's just kind of obtrusive. You can see here it is made from a very attractive green and black layer G10. What happens is they buy the G10 and it's actually layered very finely. I don't know if you can tell here, but the way they make it is it's a black layer of G10 on top of a green layer, on top of a black layer, on top of a green layer, and so on. And what they do is they just kind of sand it down to let the layers beneath show up, and it makes this pretty cool, unique, multicolored effect. There's these lines here for grip, and they help a little bit, but the ergos are good enough that it's not too big of a deal. There's a little bit of texturing even when there aren't these lines here. I'm not sure how they did that, but it's there. They do put a nice groove here. This is kind of a beginning, you know, a little bit of a help for you to get to the blade, but even with that sort of cutout, it's still a little hard. This being an axis lock, it is very easy to close. I find that the blade isn't really heavy enough for you to like fling in because it's kind of short too. And it's not super smooth at this point, even though I've had it for quite a bit. That's just this minor issue, though. Lockup is solid in every direction. I mean, it's a Benchmade. I would expect so. You can see here, one thing you'll notice is that when it's closed, there's this shoulder of the blade pointing out. I find that kind of annoying. I wish they could have fixed that somehow or designed the knife a little more carefully. Besides that, all the corners are nice and rounded. I mean, there's not really too many hot spots. There's one nice grip you can take here, and it solidly fits all 4 fingers for me. I have probably small size hands, but I think you could definitely fit at least 3 fingers, no matter who you are. Clip is, you know, left to right replaceable, but it's tip up only, so, you know, no tip down, but I don't think that's a problem. I prefer tip up. Got that nice split arrow clip here with the black. I do think if you're looking for something similar to the Griptilian, not quite the same, but something in the same vein, that you should take a look at the Mini Bone Collector. It's really all good. It's very useful in all the EDC tests that I put it through. The only quirk I have to say is that opening. But besides that, everything else seems to be solid. Good ergos, decent steel, decent grind. Besides that, you know, slight bevel issue, and good jimping all around. So I would advise this to anybody who is looking for maybe a new Benchmade to add to their collection, or maybe just a new decent quality EDC knife. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. More coming later. Peace out.